This lesson commences with Psalm 9. 9 and 10 should be considered as one, and the subject of both is the Antichrist, and it has an acrostic running through. An acrostic is a sprinkling of the Hebrew alphabet. There are 22 letters, and in the case of these psalms which concern the wicked one, the alphabet is not in order. As you will see, it is in order in Psalm 37. Psalm 9, verse 1, and it reads, I will praise thee, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will show forth all thy marvelous works. David opens the psalm, of course, here with praise. He is counting his blessings. 2. I will be glad and rejoice in thee. I will sing praise to thy name, O the Most High. The Most High, Elion in the Hebrew. It's the God of heaven and earth. 3. When mine enemies are turned back, they shall fall and perish at thy presence. And of course, he alludes to judgment at the end, and the enemy, the Antichrist, portrayed by Satan himself, has already, as a matter of fact, in Ezekiel 28, been sentenced to the lake of fire. 4. For thou hast maintained my right and my cause. Thou sattest in the throne, judging right. And thou here is a reference to the Most High God, and God knows all. He can read our minds. He knows our thoughts, and we get exactly at the great white throne judgment what we deserve. 5. Thou hast rebuked the heathen, thou hast destroyed the wicked, thou hast put out their names forever and ever. That word heathen should be translated nations, and the name will be blotted out forever. And we are told in Ezekiel 28, he is called the king of Tyrus, Tyrus meaning rock, and that he will be sentenced, he has been sentenced already, to be smoked up from within. And Ezekiel 18, of course, tells us he will be turned to ashes from the inside. Put out Revelation 20. We want our name in the book of life there. Otherwise, like Satan and his fallen angels, we too will be blotted out. 6. O thou enemy, destructions are come to a perpetual end, and thou hast destroyed cities. Their memorial is perished with them. Oh, yes, thou is Yahweh, and the cities mentioned in Revelation 16, Babylon, the old city of confusion, will be blotted out upon the return of Jesus. 7. But the Lord shall endure forever. He hath prepared his throne for judgment. Yes, Yahweh endures forever, but the wicked blotted out. And his throne is prepared, and nothing is unnoticed by God. Verse 8, and he shall judge the world in righteousness. He shall minister judgment to the people in uprightness. He will not show favoritism, any special favor. Everyone will be judged according to his works and his life, and will get what he deserves. 9. The Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in time of trouble. And this is an allusion somewhat to the day of Jacob, the time of tribulation when the Antichrist is enthroned himself, I should say, on Mount Zion, pretending to be Jesus. And God will be a refuge for the elect in that time. It is they who will recognize that this is the one who comes first, the false rock, and will not worship him. But God will be their refuge. 10. And they that know thy name will put their trust in thee, for thou, Lord, hast not forgotten them that seek thee. Those that know his name, trust him, will not be forsaken. And we are told in Hebrews chapter 13 that God will never forsake us unless we forsake him. And remember that David said to Solomon back in 1 Chronicles chapter 28, verse 9, he said, seek God and you will find him, forsake him and he will cast you down. Very good advice. Sing praises to the Lord, which dwelleth in Zion. Declare among people his doing. And that's for now. Make known the fullness of God. Zion, where is that? It's in Jerusalem. It is God's favorite place in the universe. In David's time, there were two temples, one in Gibeah and one in Jerusalem. And the ark in David's time was moved to Jerusalem. And Ezekiel 16, of course, tells us that Jerusalem is his favorite place on earth, and he uses a Hebrewism. He spread his skirt over Jerusalem, and that Hebrewism, spread his skirt, means marriage. So God married Jerusalem. And by the way, he also divorced Jerusalem and put her away when she misbehaved. 12. When he maketh inquisition for blood, he remembereth them. He forgetteth not the cry of the humble. He does not forget the cry of the humble. And that word blood, remember that blood cried. We learned that the blood of the saints is justified. In Zechariah, he was slain between the porch and the altar, we are told. And when in the 2 witnesses are slain, their blood will cry out. And of course, if you recall in Genesis, when Abel was slain, his blood cried out. Verse 13, the heathen, verse 14, verse 13, have mercy upon me, O Lord. Consider my trouble, which I suffer of them that hate me. Thou that liftest me up from the gates of death. And of course, the gates of death to the gates of the wedding. When Jesus returns, he will be coming for a virgin bride. And remember the parable of the 10 virgins, those who were not prepared and who waited too late were not allowed through the gate to the wedding feast. Verse 14, the Lord is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higala, Selah, and that means to wait. And of course, that is his favorite place. And the heathen nations, they make their own net and they will be trapped. And we're told in Revelation 23 that Satan will be in a bottomless pit. And that word there, higgalon, means meditate. There's a connection. Selah, for a second time. Wait and meditate and see the connection. Verse 17. The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God. And yes, the wicked will be blotted out, gone with Satan. 18. For the needy shall not always be forgotten. The expectation of the poor shall not perish forever. That word needy, read humble. It's a repeated word in the time of tribulation. And of course, it was first set out to last 2.5 years and was shortened to 5. And we are told that the fallen angels and Satan have already been judged. 19. Arise, O Lord, let not man prevail. Let the heathen be judged in thy sight, and they will be judged. And let not man, this man speaks of the man of the earth, and that is Satan. And the 20, to end this, put them in fear, O Lord, that the nations may know themselves to be but men. Selah. Once again, it gives a connection to number 10, and we know that many times this is used over and over. And as I said, most scholars assume that both 9 and 10 should be thought of as one. And once again, an acrostic runs through in Hebrew alphabet, but out of order. Psalm 10 is about the modus operandi of the Antichrist. Verse 10, Psalm 10, verse 1. Why standest thou afar off, O Lord? Why hidest thyself in times of trouble? Trouble, Jacob's trouble, when Satan is on earth. Now, this is a plea, it's not a complaint. David is not complaining, he is saying, hurry here. And depart, that word elam, is like a veil, and hide from sight. Now remember that the ark was behind a veil, and only one high priest, only the high priest was allowed to go behind that veil, and on one day a year, the Day of Atonement. And what happened when Jesus died at 3 p.m., that veil split from the very top to the bottom, meaning that all can go in. Verse 2, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. That word wicked, rasha, in the Hebrew, and it can be translated condemned, Satan. And yes, they will be deceived by the same devices that they imagine. 3, for the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth. Okay, they bless those who covet, who gain what is not theirs, and they bless themselves, and they abhor God, and God abhors them. And the wicked through pride of his countenance will not seek after God. God is not at all in his thoughts. Pride. Satan's sin was pride. He wanted to be God. He rebelled. He contrived in every way he could to circumvent the birth of the Messiah, and 1/3 followed him. And how would we recognize Satan? Well, Ezekiel in chapter 28 tells us that he is a very good-looking sort. He was made after the full pattern. He's a charmer, and he will look like we expect Jesus ought to look, and he will be a charmer. And the same tells us what Jesus looked like. Was he an exceptionally good-looking person? No, he was rather ordinary. He was not particularly charming. These kind of charismatic types can be followed for simply how they look and their charm. Jesus wanted those to follow him who listened to what he said and witnessed what he did. Verse 5, his ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. He has no idea, God, what your judgments are like. You are way and far above the sight of Satan. Verse 6. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. Oh, really? Well, he will certainly fall at the end. Psalm 16:8 tells us that the Lord is set before me at my right hand. And Satan is quoting that. And you can't, the Christ can't be moved, but Satan can. He is quite a misquoter. We know that from looking at the chapter in Matthew when Jesus is tempted by Satan. Verse 8, he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, and the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor, the weak. Yes, he sitteth in the places, and he lies in wait. Now, he's not murdering physically, he is murdering spiritually, because he will be so convincing that he will look and act as we ought to think Jesus would, unless we remember what we were told in Ezekiel. Revelation 20, spiritually dead will live again at the end of the millennium. Verse 9, he lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He waiteth. Excuse me, I lost my place. He waiteth. Excuse me, I'll start this over. He waiteth secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. Yes, indeed. He is crouched like a lion, and he will look like a nice guy masquerading as Jesus, but he will be looking to catch those who are foolish enough to follow him in his net. 10, he croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong lies. Yes, he will be very convincing. He will be a pretender, a great pretender. 12, arise, O Lord, lift up thine hand. Forget not the humble. Don't forget us, Lord. Remember us, and we will not perish. 13, wherefore doth the wicked contemn God? He hath said in his heart, thou wilt not require it. Yes, he has. He thinks he's good. He thinks God won't see, but God will see. 14, thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest mischief and spite, to require it with thine hand. The poor committeth himself unto thee, that thou art the helper of the fatherless. That way, we heard there in 13 that the wicked will scorn God, and the poor, or here the weak, and the fatherless, the helpless. And yes, God hates the wicked, and He hates them every day, and He will not let anything slide. And He does see the weak and the hopeless. 15. Break thou the arm of the wicked and the evil man. Seek out his wickedness till thou find none. Arm there is power, and of course the evil man, that is Satan. And Hebrews 12 tells us that God is a consuming fire, but His heat is a warmth to those who are not wicked. Think about the Holy Spirit symbolized as fire. But remember, John Wesley said that he was warmed by the Holy Spirit. So that fire can be warming, or it can destroy. Verse 16. The Lord is king forever and ever. The heathen are perished out of His land. Yes, He is when He returns. And Revelation 11:15 tells us that His kingdom is coming, and He will rule, and the heathen will perish. 17. Lord, Thou hast heard the desire of the humble. Thou wilt prepare their heart. Thou wilt cause Thine ear to hear. Yes, God will hear. And we are told in Revelation 5:8 that prayers that we have offered up are contained in a vial. Our prayers are stored. What a wonderful thought. 18, to conclude this psalm. To judge the fatherless and oppressed, that the man of the earth may no more oppress. Man of the earth is none other than the Antichrist, and there's an acrostic seal in here, and also Acts 2 recalls that prophecy. And Psalm 11 is a prayer in view of those Psalms 9 and 10 concerning the Antichrist. And we would remember that David's advisors told him to flee over to the east side of Jordan, and Absalom, his own son, had stolen most of the nation and taken their hearts. In fact, Absalom, he was a prideful person. He had a chariot with persons running up ahead. Oh, Absalom, Absalom. He is a type for the Antichrist. Psalm 11, a very short psalm, verse 1. To the chief musician and a psalm of David. Chief musician, of course, we have covered that. It is not to a man, it is to none other than Jesus, He who has the victory. Verse 1. In the Lord put I my trust. How say ye in my soul, flee as a bird to your mountains. And once again, he's trusting in the Lord. And as I said, he's been told, take off and run hide up in the mountains, David. They are after you. And of course, we know the end of the story. Absalom does not succeed. 2, for lo, the wicked bend their bow. They make ready their arrow upon the string, that they may privily shoot at the upright in heart. He said they will privily, if that means in darkness in the Hebrew. Absalom's men are lying in wait, but he is saying, I'm upright in heart and have walked with the Lord. 3, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? He's saying, Hashabah, spiritual war. If they collapse, if they collapse and establish order in Judah, what then? He is asking. 4, the Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. His eyes behold, his eyelids try the children of men. God's, his eyelids try. That eyelid that is a figure of speech in the Hebrew. It means that God is focused. His eyelids, he's in a squint. Sometimes when we want to see something close, we squint our eyes to focus. And he is saying here, God is watching. He is focused on the wicked. And back in 10, excuse me, the Antichrist said, oh, God can't see me. Well, God can. Verse 5, the Lord trieth the righteous, but the wicked and him that loveth violence, his soul hateth. Yes, he does. God hates violence and covetousness and those who steal, and he will test the strength of the elect. Verse 6, upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire and brimstone and a horrible tempest. That this shall be the portion of their cup. The cup of wrath poured out in the end, a blast of scorching heat. Armageddon and Hamon-Gog, those battles in Revelation 16, the last one God fights. Armageddon, he uses hailstones, very, very large, a talent. They could be up to 110 pounds, fire and brimstone. Now, don't let some fire and brimstone preacher scare you. This is about habitual sinners, Satan, those angels, those who deny and don't care. It is not about occasional sinner who does something wrong. Of course, we all live in a flesh body, and we have repentance and can be forgiven. The righteous are warmed. Like, think about that furnace in Daniel, those 3 human beings who were in there, and they looked and said, oh, there's a 4th one in there with them, none other than Jesus. And of course, they were totally unscorched. Verse 7, to conclude this prayer. For the righteous Lord loveth righteousness. His countenance doth behold the upright. right. And yes, he does love the righteous, but he's angry at the wicked every day. We were told that in Psalm 7. The upright one, the Zadok, the elect, mentioned in Ezekiel 44. Now, the subscript here, or superscript for the next one, actually belongs to 11, and it reads, to the chief musician, Tithoneth, a psalm of David. And that Shinoneth in means 8, and it does not mean an 8-stringed instrument, which we are sometimes told. 8 is the number of the righteous, and it, of course, should be at the head of 12. And you will see that Psalm 12 is going to be about vanity, and we will take up with that psalm in the next lesson. This lesson has been brought to you by the Essex Methodist Church in Essex, Missouri, a global Methodist congregation.